I don't subscribe to Thunderfoot's videos, but I do watch them occasionally. Not all of them, but so I can't resist. I watch them even though I think the content is terrible, it's badly researched, badly presented. He's a hopeless, sorry, no offence meant, but I don't think he's one of life's natural actors, natural presenters. I think, it's, you know, as I said, the content is not well researched. I think he's overpaid for it. He gets like whatever it is, $1,600 per video. I think the production values are low, you know, all that kind of stuff. And yet, I still come back to his videos occasionally. I guess part of it is just nostalgia, because, you know, when I came onto YouTube, whatever it was, 6 years ago, or started making videos 6 years ago, I kind of found myself in the atheist community, and he was one of the big guns of the atheist community, so he was one of the people you watched, you know what I mean, just as a kind of reference point. So I kind of have a bit of nostalgic loyalty to that time, if not to the person. But as I say, I think there's other things that work there. And one of the things that I find when I watch Thunderfoot videos is a strong sense of identification. I feel he's like my lost twin or something sometimes. I think we're not similar at all. Clearly our politics are very different, lots of things are different, but you know. But I do think, well, I like him in many ways. We're the same age apparently. When he found this bit of it out recently, which is where it kind of clicked into place. We're both 57. And I'd love to know his birthdays. I wouldn't be surprised if he's in the same astrological sign as myself. Anyhow, we're both 57, we're both educated at the same level, we've both got doctorates. His is in a science field and mine's not, but you know, we're both educated at the same standard. We've both worked in higher education for a long time, with all that what that implies in terms of, you know, understanding those kind of structures and what those structures do to you as a person. We're both kind of, I think, I don't know if this is true or not, I think we're both kind of underachievers. I certainly feel like a bit of an underachiever. People tell me I'm smarter than my achievements would suggest, because I'm lazy and don't have much ambition, and I'm prone to panic attacks and that kind of thing. But and Thunderfoot seems to be an underachiever, you know, and he's published papers and stuff, but he should have published a lot more. You know, his research profile is very meagre for someone working in that field. So I think we have some similarities in that regard. Yeah, he's even got the same kind of scrubby beard as myself, although he's managed to keep the colour in his. I don't know if he's using Grecian 2000 or something, but either way, I kind of envy that. We both wear glasses, you know. So I have that feeling of affinity, and I'm speaking to a not exactly a soulmate, but someone who I've got some things in common with. I recognise myself in him, despite the obvious differences in our political and social opinions and all those kind of things. I think our position in YouTube has been kind of similar. Our journey has been somewhat similar. Like the time on YouTube I've been here, for example, even with this relatively small subscriber base and view counts that my videos get, I find myself adopting YouTube persona quite easily. You know, I swear a lot more than I used to on here. I use kind of pop culture references a lot. I use kind of, not exactly lolcat kind of speak, but I find myself dropping into a vocabulary and a way of speaking that's peculiar to this environment, and perhaps similar environments like Reddit or whatever. And Thunderfoot does that. Lots of, oh, for God's sake, another car coming. Lots of accidental misspellings on his videos, that kind of thing, or deliberate misspellings. Come on, Phoebes. Phoebe, come here. For God's sake. Phoebe, come here. Come on. Come on. Okay, back in the saddle again. Cars hardly ever come up and down this lane. Look at the state of it. Yeah, of course I'm halfway through a video and a car comes past. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah. So I'm just saying how separated at birth Thunderfoot and I are, at least in my perception of it. Overeducated underachievers. 57-year-old approaching retirement. I think he also makes bad choices, and I make bad choices too sometimes. You know, I don't know if Thunderfoot would identify with this, but I get really enthusiastic about things. and full of energy about stuff, and positive, and kind of fearless about ideas, and then launch into them, and then halfway through, once the idea's up and running, it's like, oh my god, that was a stupid idea. You know what I mean? But it's useful in some ways because it propels me to do things I wouldn't otherwise do. But at the same time, I do find myself in situations sometimes where I just think, oh, that was a bad choice. And I think Thunderf00t does that. I think, because I know I don't know what his current employment situation is, but I know a couple of years back he changed his contract with the university he was at. He made a video about this, so it's public knowledge. But he changed the contract to a half-time contract. You know, he was employed full-time, and he went half-time. And the reason for that is he wanted to spend more time on making YouTube videos, and you know, turn that into a money-making enterprise, effectively, as well as perhaps to and to give him the benefit of the doubt here, as well as perhaps to you know, spread education or something. I don't think that end of it's been successful. If that was his aim, I don't think his videos. He stopped using education and science and education for the win, hasn't he, as a strap line, because he doesn't really do science and education for the win anymore. But yeah, so anyway, yeah, he went to a 50% contract, half-time contract at his university, to make up his money via YouTube and presumably things like Patreon. And he probably is managing that. I mean, if his videos are making $1,600 on Patreon, the occasional bit of cash from YouTube on the videos that aren't full of other people's content, then yeah, he's probably pulling in about $3,000 or $4,000 a month via Patreon, which would be, I guess, make up the 50% maybe. But then again, you know, if it was me, and he may be very different in this regard, if it was me, I would be panicking at that point, because then your livelihood, your income is entirely tied to your popularity, isn't it? Because all these things are popularity contests. You know, even Patreon is ultimately about how many people you can get on board. So it's always a numbers game, just like advertising is a numbers game, just like AdSense is a numbers game. So you're really at the mercy of your subscriber and view count. And when your livelihood's dependent on that, that's got to have an effect, isn't it? You can't take risks. You can't say things which are going to make lots and lots of people unsubscribe. You've got to keep producing content that people support, regardless of what you think about it. I mean, I'm sure Thunderf00t does think exactly what he says. I'm not suggesting he's lying for popularity, but it does place those demands, right? And you're kind of locked into that. I don't know how he would possibly. He could, you know, it's whether it's working consciously or unconsciously, he's going to find it difficult to say things which piss off lots of people. And right now, his subscriber base is largely misogynistic arseholes, unfortunately. So what are you going to do with that? But yeah, I mean, the other thing about that, which would be giving me pause if I was Thunderf00t, is just how the future is going to pan out. How the next 5 years. I mean, just think how much YouTube has changed in the last 5 or 6 years, or really changed since in the last 8 years. And if Thunderf00t's 57, which he is, then he's got another 10, maybe 15 years of work left in him, isn't he? Really. So it's not. Although he's not a young man, he's not an old man either. So he has to think in those long terms, and look at the way this platform has changed, and look at the way it's developing. I mean, Thunderf00t his channel to me looks really old-fashioned, and particularly as a science channel. I mean, there's so many other science channels that, quite frankly, are so much better. You know, you look at SciShow or Brain Scoop or 60 Seconds, is it? Something like that, Number File, Computer File, all the really good science and technology channels, and they're just better content. They're better content, better presented, you know, properly annotated notes for people who want to take the stuff further. No contest, really. So that competition wasn't there when Thunderf00t started, when he was at his peak, but he's been overtaken. And also his fan base is quite young. At least large parts of it are. The majority of it is. And I can't imagine those people staying with him for the next 5 years. Can you imagine, you know, those same people watching Thunderfoot in 5 years' time, still making videos? And I don't think he can attract a younger audience. Where's his younger audience going to come from when there's so much better competition? I mean, I think he missed the boat about 4 years ago. I was making videos about it back then, because he wasn't doing all this feminism stuff then. He was doing science and education for the win. And I suggested then that he needs to set up he needs to develop his channel. It would be a good idea to develop a kind of hub channel, you know, to create the Thunderfoot Foundation for Science and Reason, I think I refer to it as, kind of mapped off the Richard Dawkins Foundation, you know, where he could, instead of making all these videos himself, he would promote other science channels, because at the time there wasn't all those other channels, you know, and he could have been at the forefront of that, and spent less time worrying about keeping his fan base on board so he gets his $1,600 per video, and more time just heading up an organisation really that that produces good videos and can take all that pressure to do with developing content away from the individual. But he didn't, you know, he didn't seem to be at all interested in that one-man show, you know. So that's a shame. So I just think he missed the boat in that really. But as I say, I can exactly see myself doing that. You know, if someone had advised me to do that, I wouldn't have known how to do it, or I'd have had a panic attack, or I'd have been diverted by some other project I got enthusiastic about, or I'd just been too lazy. So yeah, so I do hope that Thunderfoot is able to keep his head above water and maintain a credible presence. I hope he kind of gets over this phase he's in right now, which is he just seems to be recycling his old routines from why people laugh at creationists and applying that same logic to feminists. But it's kind of old-fashioned, I think, just in terms of the way that this medium operates. You know, we're not in that world anymore, I don't think. We're not going to be for much longer, where it's just about ponage. No. So I think we should move on together, Thunderfoot, if you're watching this video. Long lost twin brother of mine. Come back to the fold, let's grow up together, you and I. Let's approach our retirement as the mature, sophisticated gentlemen we both undoubtedly are. Let's stop talking lolcat speak. Stop swearing because it's what the young people do. Stop trying to be provocative for view count's sake. Start setting examples, you know what I mean? Maybe we should do that.